Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Sparkle Splatter. In this video, we're going to learn how to make a very fast 15-minute centerpiece wreath. This is a gorgeous wreath, and I only paid a few dollars to make this. We use very little supplies, and you can make it up very quickly. When you're finished, you can hang this on the wall, or a door, or a mirror, or something like that, upright, and I'm going to show you how to make just a quick little loop on the back part for that. Or what I did was laid mine on the table, and then you can place a little bit of decor, maybe a little statue or a candle in the center, and it makes a really beautiful centerpiece for your table. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need an 18-inch evergreen wreath form, some ribbon of your choice, and some seasonal floral sprays. I have here some burgundy hydrangeas. They have a little bit of sparkle to them. And then these little sparkly berries. And these are like a kind of like a platinum leaf type of thing. But really anything you want. And a lot of times if you go to the craft store, this seasonal florist stuff is on sale. And after the holidays, you can get it on clearance really inexpensively as well. You'll also need a pair of wire cutters, a pair of scissors, and a hot glue gun. So let's get started. We're going to begin by preparing our materials. So what you'll want to do, a lot of times when you find these wreaths at the craft store, they're a little bit smashed. So what you'll need to do is kind of fluff them up a little bit. Just kind of bend all of these little evergreen pieces outward. So they usually, when they ship them and then when they put them on the shelves or the little pegs in the store, they're stacked up. So you'll want to just kind of fluff it up a little bit. So once it looks nice and full, then we're going to prepare our floral sprays next. So what I'm going to do is, if you look at the underneath of this hydrangea, for example, and a lot of other silk flowers, you'll see that each one of these is in a section. See that? It's just a little piece of flowers, I guess you could say. So we're just going to kind of break it apart. We're not going to put the whole big blob of flowers on there. So just cut your flowers apart. Now what I like to do too, whenever I'm making a wreath, is any of these that you have left over, throw them in a bag, because when you go to make a wreath again, you can look, if you just need a little pop of color here and there, a lot of times you'll have leftovers. So you're just going to quickly break apart your floral sprays, okay? And then what we're going to do is, we can throw those in the middle, is do the same for this side. Okay, so as you can see, they're in groups here. Okay, so we're just going to cut those apart. And you don't need too long of a stem, because we're going to be gluing them and tucking them away into the wreath. And it's okay if some of them are a little bit clumpier than others. See how this group is a little bit bigger? That's okay. It's going to look very pretty when we're finished. Okay, so we're just cutting this all apart, getting all these little sprigs. And we can come in from the top. Now the top usually has a very thick piece of wire. And this will allow us the most amount of control as we're placing everything. You can kind of group a couple together, or you can keep them like how we're cutting them here. So just go through and cut all those off, okay? So now we have our floral pieces that we want to work with. Okay, so let's grab the ribbon next, and we're going to get the ribbon onto the wreath. Okay, so I got my ribbon out, and basically what we're going to be doing is kind of artfully wrapping this around the wreath. And alternatively, you could make a couple of bows and just place them around the wreath as well. Now I'm saying wreath even though we're making a centerpiece, because you could very, very easily hang this up on a door or the wall. So either or. Now what we're going to do is, I have wired ribbon. I would recommend, if you're using wired ribbon, just use old scissors. You don't want to use your brand new nice scissors, or scissors that you cut fabric with or something like that. Just use some old scissors. And we have our hot glue gun heating up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the end here, and we're just going to put a little bit of hot glue on that. And then we're going to begin our first placement here. So I'm going to just kind of like dig down far And I'm going to glue the ribbon down here. We don't want to glue it onto the top because it's not going to look as nice. And then you can kind of like fold these little evergreen pieces back. And then our place where we joined the ribbon to the wreath is going to be concealed and look nice and neat. Okay, so then what we're going to do is just take our ribbon, and I'm just going to go around the wreath, okay? Now you don't want to pull it too tight, and you might need to fiddle with it as you go. But we're just going to try and do this as pretty as possible. Ribbon around an evergreen wreath can be a little bit tricky because there's a lot of things just sticking out everywhere. But thankfully we have these lovely flowers over here, so if you do have an area that looks kind of funny or odd, you can cover them with the flowers. So we're just going all the way around our wreath, not pulling too tight, just making it look very festive and nice and neat, okay? So you might need to kind of reposition some of these evergreen pieces as you work, okay? We're just going to go all the way around our wreath, and it looks very pretty. This plaid ribbon has just the slightest little stripe of this green in it, so it kind of pulls it from the wreath color. Okay, so we're getting around to the front area. Now again, if you want to put a bow where the ribbon meets, you can do that as well. And I will say that holiday ribbon at the craft store during the holiday time is very inexpensive. It's usually on sale. So then we're just going to cut our ribbon, and then we're going to do the same thing. You want to tuck these ends in where you can't see them. So just put a little bit of glue on the end, and then just lift up your evergreen and just kind of lay it down over top. Okay, and then we might need to kind of reposition things a little bit. And so our ribbon looks very pretty. If you need to fiddle with it a little bit, that's perfectly fine, you know, to get it the way you want it to look. And the wire, having the wire in the ribbon is very helpful too, because when you go to store your wreath at the end of the season, it's most likely going to get smashed depending on what you're storing it with. So you can kind of fluff it back up each year when you get it out. Okay, so let's grab all of our flowers again. We'll just get a few. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to squirt a little bit of hot glue onto our flowers, and we're just going to like go around and tuck them in. Okay, now if you want to have, we're going to do kind of an all-over design, but you could do like a cluster along one side. You could do a spray or something like that. You could just kind of, if you do a bow, you could gather your floristry around your bow as well. But I'm just going to kind of go all around. And if you have leftovers, that's perfectly fine. Just store them for next time. Or if you're have this as a centerpiece on a table, you could kind of bring the flowers through onto something else in your house. Maybe you have a wreath on the door. You could do a wreath on the door that matches. Okay, so we're just going all the way around our wreath with these pretty burgundy hydrangeas here. And see, I put one right where that seam is, where we joined our ribbon so that it's concealed as well. And then we can get some of these little platinum leaves and put those in there. They have just a little bit of sparkle, so they're adding a little more festivity to our wreath. And you don't want to shove things too far down in there. You want to give it some dimension. Okay, so we're just going all the way around our wreath. We grab a few more of these. And like I said before, whether you use these up or not is up to you. You can try and squeeze them all on there if you don't think you'll ever use them again. Okay, and the hot glue is ideal for this project because it's going to be very, very quick, because we're making a very quick centerpiece. And it's going to create a nice bond very quickly. Craft glue and things like that are not really ideal adhesives for these types of projects. Whoops, I have one just kind of laying there. Okay, so we're just going all around and we're adding some sprays. of floristry on here. So I'm going to keep going with my wreath, and also, see, I've been just kind of putting them around the center here, but make sure you get some around the sides as well, because your evergreen has some stuff that's sticking out the sides. So make sure you just move all around your wreath, placing things where they need to go, and really filling up the space as well. So I'm going to go ahead and continue adding all of these little flowers, and then we'll rejoin and I'll show you how to create a little hanging loop for your wreath if you want to hang it. If you want to keep it as a centerpiece, you can just lay it flat like it's shown here. Okay, so the wreath is done, and I ended up using all of the flowers that I cut. I wanted it to look nice and full and festive. So what you can do when you're finished is you want this wreath to completely cool and the glue to harden before you start hanging it or setting it anywhere, especially if you have a nice dining room table that you want to sit this on. You don't want to put any hot glue onto your table. So also the strings that are here, you can just pull those off. If you have a lot of these hot glue strings all the way around your piece, you can also hit those with a hair dryer, and that will just sort of make those disappear. For your hanging loop, you can take a piece of wire and make a loop, but sometimes, because I have the ribbon out anyway, I like to just, especially this wired ribbon works really nicely, just cut a piece. This is about 6 inches or so, and then what I do is just fold it in half, give it a nice twist like that, and then look for where you want the top of your wreath to be. Now if you did bows, that's going to be easy to find the top of your wreath. But if you didn't have bows, you can, now this little piece, I am going to glue this. You might have to do this with your ribbon a little bit. I'm going to glue this down to the back because I had a big loop here and I didn't realize that. So if you need to cut it, that's fine. I'm just going to glue this down so it'll stay put. Okay, just like that. Whenever you're making wreaths, it's kind of like a push and a pull. You know, you add a few things, reposition things. So then let's take our loop. And again, we're going to kind of dig. Now you'll find that there is a hard kind of like a twisted metal piece that runs around the back of your wreath. Locate that and kind of, if you can, kind of tuck your loop up underneath of it. So we're going to get this very, very gluey because we want it to be very secure. And we just twisted our ribbon, so we don't want it to come untwisted. But if you get a lot of glue on there, it'll create a really nice bond. And then you're just going to kind of shove that in there underneath of your, and I'm going to use, so I don't burn my fingers, this is the stem of our floral stem for our flowers. I'm just going to use it as a tool to kind of shove that in there so I don't burn my hand. And then we have a nice little loop. Now you can use string if you want it to be a little bit less subtle, but sometimes I like when the loop shows. So let's flip it back over. So again, just make sure everything is cool and dry with the glue before you put this out for decoration. And you can use this on your door, you can use this on a mantle, or like I'm going to do on the middle of a table. You can place a candle in the center of it or another decorative element. So that is how you make the 15-minute centerpiece wreath combination, whatever you want to use it for. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Sparkle and Splatter video updates. Thanks again.